Well, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Beeman Show. We're very fortunate today to have a guest with us. We want to recognize and honor our veterans for Veterans Day that's coming right up very shortly. We have Josh with us. Josh did 2 combat tours in Iraq. The first was with the 2nd Marines in the 2nd Division. The 3rd Marines in the 2nd Division was his second tour in Iraq. And he's here today to talk a little bit about his time that he spent in Iraq and to honor his veterans and the fellow veterans that he served with. Josh has received many commendations to include Combat Infantryman's Badge, Iraqi Service Medal, among many others that we won't get into here today. Well, Josh, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Glenn. Thank you for having me. It is an honor.
All right, thank you very much. Hey, so why don't we start with, how did you arrive in Iraq? Did you fly in? Did you ride on a boat? How did you end up arriving in country in Iraq?
Yeah, it was, I returned from California. I was doing hot weather training in the Mojave Desert, and I came back to the States, North Carolina, on 9/11, and I was supposed to have 4 days off, and got back to the barracks and saw on the news the Twin Towers had been hit, and basically told not even to unpack our gear, and we just got right back on the Humvees, went right back to the beach, got on an LCAT, took us out to the battleship, and brought us right to Iraq. I was the second convoy off the ship to enter Iraq. Drove in, considerable drive, 12-hour drive, night vision goggles on, couldn't stop, pissing through cable, wire, hose out the Humvee door.
Wow.
Going into Iraq, I witnessed the first convoy, most of it hit by RPGs, saw them through NVGs, on fire, didn't stop, kept driving right past them, went into Iraq, restless night, scared shitless. I was told to stay in the truck. I was a driver. I once we stopped, I did get out of my truck and basically tried to just take cover, hiding essentially right next to one of the tire of my Humvee. Heard fire from 360 degrees. It's pretty crazy, pretty scary. So that was the first night, so to speak, into Iraq. A lot of casualties already.
Sounds like quite a way to show up in Iraq, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't a good experience. Terrifying.
And so where did you end up? You was called for some fire, and you was directing artillery and then fighting back. What was going on with that?
Well, that was we did a live call for fire exercise, but that was during just that. That was an exercise. When we actually got to Iraq, it was a lot of moving around. I worked for the logistics at the time and the Command Operations Center. So basically got into Iraq and just trying to find a nice, safe place to set up the operations center. So a lot of moving around initially, working with intel, getting to get a better idea of what was taking place around us, and just trying to find like I said, a safe place to set up operations.
Now, who were some of the people you were serving with that left the biggest impression on you, or because you were a young soldier right now? How old were you at this point?
Yeah, I went in right after high school, so I was 18 joining. By the time I was 19, I was already overseas in combat.
Yeah, and who were some of the people that helped you lead you and guide you through this process?
Yeah, I was pretty fortunate. One of the best things I enjoyed was I was a Humvee driver, and I was a Humvee driver for the battalion gunner, and the guy was awesome. He was great to be around, and it was a lot of perks I got being his driver that a lot of soldiers didn't get. I mean, the guy would make me coffee and stuff, and I got to work with a lot of officers and a lot of higher ups. Master Gunnery Sergeant Morgan, an E9, and basically every day I was with him. So the battalion gunner, Master Gunnery Sergeant. So these are, as an enlisted Marine, I was fortunate to be around all the officers and to work with them to get a better understanding, more so of an understanding than a lot of soldiers did, because as you know, it's hurry up and wait, and you don't know what the hell's going on. But working with the logistics and the intel of the battalion, it gave me a lot of insight, which was pretty cool, and I was fortunate.
Now, what were the reasons that motivated you to sign up to do a second tour in Iraq? What was your reasons?
Well, I didn't have motivation. I had no choice.
Were you stop lost, or?
I was about 7 days short of being stop lost. I went from being discharged in a matter of a week. I was leaving Iraq in New Hampshire, or in North Carolina, drove back home to New Hampshire, and all within a week. So it was like a matter of days where I missed them involuntarily extending me. So they took me. I went from, like I said, Iraq, North Carolina, New Hampshire within a week. So the transition for me was rough. I didn't really get the. There is a transitional phase that they try to provide for you to cope going from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, but you did volunteer for a second tour.
It wasn't volunteer.
Okay. You got sent back whether you wanted to or not. Yeah.
Yes. And this was all within the same time period while I was deployed. We went into Iraq, and then we got back on the ship. I spent a lot of time on the USS Nassau, just doing gator squares. So, we went into Iraq, and then we got on the ship. Kosovo, Kuwait. I went to Spain, Macedonia, Gibraltar, UAE. That's where the live fire exercise took place. So while we were even in combat zone, we were still doing training.
Yeah.
And then we did eventually end up going back into Iraq.
Yeah, that's when you were back in the 3rd Marine 2nd Division.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Now, what was your duties doing during the 3rd Marine 2nd Division, your second tour?
So when I initially went in, I went in as an 0352, which is a tow gunner, and then I had the opportunity to transfer from infantry to work unit operations as a unit operations specialist, which was S3, the logistics of the battalion. So I went from a tow gunner to working with the logistics part of the battalion, which is how I became like the battalion gunner's driver.
Sounds very, very interesting. So, as the word came out that the war in Iraq was going to end up ending, or that your tour was ending, what were your experiences around that? Leaving some of the people there and leaving behind. Did you leave as a unit? Were you coming back to the States? Were there people having issues?
Yeah, there was a lot of issues. But in pertaining to me leaving because of my EAS date, end of service, that was really specifically for me because my contract had expired. So
Yeah.
like I said, it was really quick. Me being honorably discharged. I guess I'm trying to understand more so your question.
You were telling us off camera about some incidents where some people were having some difficulties on board ship, and they was
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as we discussed, just being on a battleship for that extended period of time, and being out there alone, away from your family, it certainly hits home. And there were soldiers that couldn't cope with it, and I guess to what I believe you're getting at is there were soldiers who just couldn't handle it anymore and did end up just jumping off the battleship and vanishing. And when you're doing 30 knots or whatnot, they're not turning around a battleship to go get you. But at that height and at that speed and with that cold water, you're basically done anyways. So there were soldiers who did choose to just end it. Even after making it through their combat experience as well. Just being on the battleship takes a toll on someone. I knew what I had to do though. I specifically recall going down into the well of the battleship, and it was just me, and it was maybe 2 in the morning or something, and I sat on my Humvee and a tank or whatnot, and I just had to tell myself that I'm too far from home. There's no turning back right now, so I need to do what I need to do, and just kind of put my head down and stomp through it. So I made that decision to do just that, and whatever I had to do, I just pushed through it so I could make it home.
And tell us about that when you finally got your orders, you're going to be separated and you were going to be discharged. What was going through your mind? That the war was over for you and you were on your way home? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I really couldn't wait to get home and be done with it. There was no way in hell I was considering a re-enlisting. I just wanted to be done. I wanted to be a college student. And it all happened so fast when I got my DD 214. They're updating the awards and the medals, and I was just like, I don't even care. Do this later. Get me out of here. Send me home. So I couldn't wait to get out of there. The whole time, I just wanted to be done with it. But during it, I just knew that I had to put my head down and get through it.
Yeah, I understand that. I had the same feelings. Well, our show is set up to have 3 9-minute segments, and it's about a 25 or 30-minute TV show, and we're very grateful for your decision to come on and share your experiences and honor your other veterans that you worked with. And thank you very much for coming on the show, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Glenn, and thank you for asking me to do this. Initially was kind of hesitant. There's a lot that I've kind of put in the back of my head about it, but you're a good friend, and it's an honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you.